My name is Tom Anderson, and I'm opposed to incorporation of a municipality in East Lincoln and the new taxes and regulations that will bring, no matter whether it's called a village, a town, a city, a municipality, or whatever the heck the name is this week. We are privileged to have with us tonight Representative Jason Sane. He has asked to speak briefly to you, and then he has to go to Raleigh. Jason, the floor is yours.
Thanks, John. Thank you all, and really do appreciate you all being out here tonight. Many of you have contacted my office or participated in the survey that we had out there. I'll give you a little bit about the survey real quick. And as Tom mentioned, Jay and I are on our way to Raleigh. We've got a vote tomorrow on the hurricane relief, so that's something that we've got to go do. But I asked to speak first, and I visited with folks on the other side. They've come to my office and certainly expressed their desires and some of the things that they want to accomplish. But I will tell you from the survey that the feedback that you've all given to me, over about 750 people have participated. It cuts about 80% opposed, 14% for, and another 6 undecided. The process, and I'm sure as the conversation goes on tonight, Tom and Troy and everyone who's going to speak will tell you more about how the process works. That won't stop or inhibit the signatures that are going on, but what I do encourage is for you all to be very vocal, as many of you have been, and the comments and the information that's coming to our office is very much appreciated. And Troy, you're going to have a video, you're going to be videoing folks. We'd love to get you on video so that we do have some substantial proof that folks feel one way or the other. Again, my role has not been to necessarily facilitate pro or anti, but I will tell you that I've always been opposed to new taxes, and Tom and I were involved in the original anti-incorporation effort some years ago. So I think it's pretty clear where I'm at, and folks probably should understand that. But at the same time, that there's a process, and those folks will go through that. However, once that comes to the State House, a committee will look at that and decide whether or not it's feasible. And then there will actually have to be a sponsor for a said bill, and it usually comes from a member of the local delegation. And again, you know where I stand on things. So it's great to see you all here tonight and participate. This is democracy, and you all deserve to be heard. And it's great to have my colleague Jay Adams. He represents the folks in the Hickory area. He's from Catawba County, but he also serves on our finance committee where all local tax bills come through, and I'm the chair of that. So if we can be a help to you or a conduit to any type of information, please contact my office. Mary Claire is just outside the door. She works for me in my office in Lincolnton, but then I have some staffers in Raleigh as well. So again, pardon the brief visit, but before we left, I did want to come speak to you and just let you know that I'm here for you. So appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative Sane. We're going to present information to you tonight that will speak, we hope, not just to what reasonably will happen in the next few years if incorporation comes in, but what you could expect to reasonably happen for future councils if in fact incorporation happens. At the end of this session, we'll open the floor up and we would invite you to ask any questions that you have. We'll do the best that we can to answer them. If we don't know the answer, we'll find it. And we ask you to go to the website that we have, post your question there, and we will find your question and we'll answer it as best we can during the question and answer period. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Troy Perry, and he's going to provide you the information that we would like you to have.
Good evening, I am Troy Perry, and I want to just thank you guys for coming tonight. It really means a lot. People get active and they get out and they educate themselves like some of us others have done. I'd like to start by giving you a little bit of background about the small group of local folks who have brought you this rally and info session. Tom Anderson, who you just heard from. Tom was a civil engineer. He was also former Lincoln County Commissioner and Chairman. He lives in Westport. Terry Brotherton has been helping us too. Terry is a long-time resident, if not. Terry born here? Yeah, I think so. I know he's been here a lot longer than I have. Terry's a former commissioner as well and lives in Westport. Bob Neely is a fiber optics and communications entrepreneur. He lives in Trilogy. Then we have John Anderson. John Anderson has been Director of Government Affairs for more organizations than I could actually put on this piece of paper. He has a tremendous amount of experience in things of this nature, as well as being a Chamber of Commerce president for Manchester. Thank you, John. Then we have Chris Ozolina. He's an elevator technician by day and a go-fast boat owner, driver in national competitions. He's actually ranked 5th right now, I think. Chris lives over in Westport, and he's also been integral in bringing, if you signed an online petition, he's the one that made that happen. Myself, I'm a compliance auditor in the financial sector, so basically I look at words and compare them to other words, and I analyze that and make sure everything's matched up. So this sort of fits what I do in terms of reading things and trying to understand them and put them in simple context. And then Bud Cecina has been part of this as well. Bud is your most recent county commissioner-elect. If you don't know Bud, he lives in Westport as well. So the concerned citizens in our group are either from Denver or chose this great place to put down roots. But we are all against incorporations for various reasons that I'll present to you tonight. So let's get started with defining what Denver, North Carolina is right now, where it's been, and the fork in the road at which we find ourselves now. So Denver is simply a zip code. It covers the territory in Lincoln and Cobbett counties. That's all we are. We used to be incorporated until about the early 1970s, where, because of lack of participation from the folks in the town of Denver, it was dissolved. Sort of a precedent set, I think. Then an attempt was made in the late 90s, early 2000s to reincorporate, and that failed. Thank you, Tom. And now a new attempt is being made to incorporate. And there's a charter out there, and the charter has been made public in several different iterations. But the things that seem to be the most common in that, we've got some points listed on the board we want to talk about tonight. Some of them we'll go into some minor detail, some we'll go into great detail about. First, the thing I want to bring up first is the fact that the elections for the town council will be nonpartisan. The only problem I have with that is, generally the reason for doing that is to get people elected who couldn't normally get elected in an area where if they said what they were, you wouldn't vote for them. I won't belabor the point. The next thing we have that I took partial issue with was that the manager does not need to be a resident of the town. Now I look around this room and I see some retired folks, I see some folks that are still working. I know myself, I know some very, very qualified people. To start off by saying, we would just want the option to go somewhere else because we don't know if we're going to find it here. In 22,000 people, we can't find what we need here, we're going to go somewhere else and get it. But does that person who would be the manager if they're from somewhere else, do they have our best interests at heart? And that's the question, that's the biggest reason I have for not wanting someone from the outside. If you have qualified people in the area of incorporation, proposed incorporation, why not hire them first? So let's get into taxes. The statement in the charter says that they cannot raise the taxes more than 12 cents on the 100. Okay, that sounds great, right? Hey, we're not going to raise taxes. Coming out of the gate, we're going to tell you we're not going to raise taxes. Read my lips. That 19% tax hike at 12 cents on the 100, even if that's where they stop, one of the biggest problems with it is it will underfund whatever town they want to incorporate. In my opinion, based on math, that it's just not possible to do what they want to do. We'll get into that here in just a little bit with comparing ourselves to some other towns. But let's continue to talk about the charter itself. The town of Denver shall not provide police nor fire service. Okay? Most every other town provides these things, but we're not going to do that because we're going to save you money by not doing that. The problem is, it doesn't save you money because you're going to have to pay for it. No matter what anybody tells you, and we'll show you some evidence of this here in a minute, the county can and likely will charge you for law enforcement. Very few towns choose not to provide law enforcement, by the way. Mint Hill did it. Mint Hill chose not to, when they incorporated, to not provide police service. That lasted until, I believe, the late 90s, early 2000s, when they decided to start their own police department. They have 37 employees and a several $1 million budget for that, which is not currently in the budget now that's being proposed to you. That's checkpoint one for why 12 cents isn't enough. In fact, the devil's in the details. The town may use revenue other than property taxes to provide supplementary public safety services from other agencies. Anybody define public safety for me? I believe it's called fire and police, right? Yeah, okay. So we're not going to do it with taxes. We're going to do it with other revenue. Where's that come from, Tom? You don't have to answer.
We never found it in the county.
You never found it in the county? Yeah. Well, we're about to take it from the county. So the next point that I want to discuss here is the town service will include road construction of right-of-way acquisition, road maintenance, zoning, planning, and street lighting. That's it. Is it really necessary to incorporate for these things? Is one major question that we have. The reason that they believe that they can do it for 12 cents is because this is all they're going to offer. Well, as we'll see with what everybody else is doing, this still is not enough, right? And what about, oops, sorry about that. What about road construction here? Let's talk about that for a second. All of the blue you see on your handout, all of that will be forever DOT maintained. Can't touch it. Everything in red, the next 10 years, DOT owns it, can't touch it. Everything in green, within 5 years, Denver will maintain it. Those are all your street neighborhoods. So this little town is going to make sure that your neighborhoods stay right. I'm going to go with the DOT on that. I like them handling my roads. There. Hey, you can laugh at that, but I'm going to show you in a minute the 7 projects that are going on in Denver right now that most of you probably aren't even aware of. So a little history lesson. Matt, let's talk about taxes, the tax rate not being enough. In 1998, a group that we tried to incorporate failed. The main issue was that their tax rate was 5 cents on the 100, pretty low. And admittedly, in their charter, they did want to provide fire and police, but it was a much smaller area than what we're talking about now, quite a bit smaller. The North Carolina Department of Commerce did a study on it. There's a 41-page doc. You can read it for yourself. We posted it on the novillage.com. 26 cents on the 100 is what was needed 20 years ago for a smaller town. Now, granted, there was police and fire in that, but as we're going to learn in a little bit, we're going to have to pay for police at least anyway. So even if only a little bit of this is right, it's still way more than what they said they need. So they're going to have to get it where? They already told you. Other revenue. Other, say it with me. Other revenue. Thank you. 19 years later, we're getting the same thing again. So let's talk about what other towns are doing. So I did a little bit of research and looking at what was going on, and I like to compare apples and apples. There are 5 counties that surround Lake Norman. Of those 5 counties, there are 41 municipalities, okay? Lincoln County only has 2, by the way, and we share one of those with Catawba. That's Maiden. That's important to me. We've got a long history of being a more or less a rural county. And I think folks like that. I get the impression anyway. The average property tax rate of those 41 counties is 44 cents on the 100. The lowest is 10 cents on the 100. It's Harmony, it's in Iredell County. They have 563 residents and 1.4 square miles that they're responsible for. Pretty small town. They do it for 10 cents. We're coming in at 9 with this charter to go up to 12. For 32 square miles and 22,000 people. How are we going to provide those services with a budget that is similar to a town with 563 residents at 1.4 square miles? We've got driveways longer than that in this incorporated area. So that's the counties. That's the 5 counties. That's those 41 municipalities. Well, not all 41 of those municipalities are on the lake. Okay? Fair enough. So let's just look at the ones that are on the lake. I find it interesting, if you look at this map up here, you'll see Mooresville, Davidson, Cornelius, Huntersville, and Denver's over on the left-hand side. strike you that the whole west side of the lake is unincorporated, the whole right side is incorporated? When was the last time you wanted to go to the west side of the lake, or east side of the lake, excuse me? When was the last time you wanted to go to the east side? What's your number one reason for not wanting to go over there? They're all incorporated. What have they done to fix it? I think you're answering your own questions. It's good. You guys are staying with it. It's perfect. Let's just real quick, I'll throw these numbers up here. We've got these budgets up here. Mooresville's $22 million budget. That 58 cents on the 100, that's in addition to the Iredell County tax rate. Davidson, $12.8 million budget, 35 cents in addition to the county tax rate. Cornelius, 27, and Huntersville, 29. So what we're seeing here is at least twice, a little bit more than twice what we're proposing at 12 cents, which is the highest, that's the cap. And we still have to provide we got to pay for law enforcement. Don't forget that, that's very important. When somebody says to you, but we're not offering the same services. Yes, we are, to a large degree. So, the property tax increase is going to have an impact on everybody. And what I've got here on the board, what you have in your handouts there, will show you what it will cost, what it costs you now, right? If you have a $150,000 house, it's $916 a year. Now, I want to remind you folks of something. Don't shoot the messenger. There's a new valuation coming in January. Okay. So while your property tax rate may not go up, your property value may causing your bill to go up. So this is not necessarily reflective of what it will be in the future. It's likely going to go up. We've seen property values increase. It's going to happen. Maybe not. Well, so at 14%, which is their 9 cents raise, the new bill for that $916 guy is now $1,051. Okay? Moving over to the 19%, which is where we'll almost, it'll have to go as soon as their charter allows them to, which would be after the first year. They've said we can't raise the taxes on the first year. After that, we can go up to 12 cents. So you can go ahead and start the clock. If we incorporate, 365 days later, your taxes are going up to 12 cents, you don't have to vote on it. It's going to happen. They've already said they can do it. So we really should be talking about the 12 cents. But if you go to the 26 cents that 20 years ago, North Carolina Department of Commerce said was really more our rate, you just went from $916 to $1,300. That's a family living in a $150,000 house. You go to the $450,000, which I think is about our average, right? For the incorporated area, I think it's somewhere in there. You just went from $2,749 to $3,900. That's a vacation. And I'm going to need one after this. So let's talk about businesses for a second. We've got another page of businesses here you'll see in a second, but just look at the numbers here for a minute. A property that's worth $2 million, right now they're paying $12,000 a year in property tax. Oh, by the way, let me just throw this in there, make you feel better. Probably gonna sleep better. This is just your real property. This isn't all the other personal property you pay property tax on. All of that you're going to get billed for too on top of this. These property tax rates are not just for your home and real property. That farm you might have. It's your RV, it's your boat, it's your... Anybody got a helicopter? Well, you don't have any problems anyway. Somebody out here's got a helicopter. Maybe not this one. So, businesses. $2 million, right? That's what your valuation is before it goes up in January. You're at $12,220. You're going to jump to $17,420. Some of these rates for people who own property and businesses, it can be a small part-time job for somebody that they're paying out in taxes because we need road construction, street lights, and sidewalks. So here's a little bit better breakdown. You can see now we're putting some names to some of these businesses. Pelican Snowballs, $340,000 last evaluation. Their increase would be $335 a year. Doesn't sound like a whole lot. But if you were to actually factor in the 5-county average, which is where we're heading in the future, maybe it's 5, 10, maybe it's 15 years from now, but it's a $1,500 increase. But you don't have to go that far down the road to see real numbers. Who has grandchildren over at Lake Norman Gym Academy? You're going to end up paying more because the rent's going to go up, because the property taxes went up. If a business has to pay more to be in business, what do? They increase the prices, and that affects us locally almost more than any of this on an everyday basis. You pay that tax one time a year. Now you get to pay the business's tax every day you buy something. It's exponential, folks. You want me to stop now, or you want me to finish the... There might be more bad news, that's all I'm saying. So people say, well, it's not fair to compare us to the other towns. We don't offer the same things that those other towns offer. And while that's true right now, even if this committee that is wanting to put this together, after their first year in office, there's going to be new people elected. We have no idea who those people are, and guess what? You're not going to know what side of the line they fall on either. Okay? What's to stop them from wanting to bring more things in locally? Okay? Police, fire, medic, water, sewer, schools, where does it stop? With local control. That's one of the reasons that the people who want to incorporate tell you that it's a good idea to incorporate, so that we can have local control. Well, then why not take local control of everything? And then charge you for it. Well, guess what? You're already paying for it now. If we don't recognize what Mooresville, Davidson, Cornelius, and Huntersville, if we don't recognize where they are, by the way, Huntersville has a $65 million budget and 56,000 people. They're about the same distance from Charlotte as we are. We have a better road to get to Charlotte. People live there because it's incorporated. They like those things. I don't know. It doesn't look good to me. I want to stay away from it. So Lincoln County provides two services right now that, if we incorporate, they're going to likely, well, at least one they're going to charge us for. The other one, they're going to have some very good incentives to dump on us. No pun intended. That's law enforcement, sewer, and water. So you're going to hear an argument from the other side, or debate from the other side, that says the sheriff's department can't charge us for law enforcement services. Well, that statement is true. But guess who can? The county. Because the county sets the sheriff's department's budget. And they tell the they don't have to ask the sheriff's department whether or not they can charge us. He doesn't necessarily have a say in it. But when I show you a slide in a minute about what we're taking from them, you're going to understand the incentive for them to come back and charge us for this. So we asked Kara Ann Melanzi, she's a Juris Doctor, she's a professor at Chapel Hill, she's with the North Carolina School of Government, she specializes in county and local government, okay? She said this when asked, and by the way, just so somebody doesn't say this is taken out of context, this entire email thread is up for view on novillage.com, so you can go back and you can read the entire email chain in context. So I'll start here with her quote. Although the sheriff must continue to provide mandated services such as service of process or execution of writs throughout the county, a sheriff may choose to perform the duties that a police department would perform under contract with the town, such as assigning dedicated deputies to patrol within the town, with the town paying for those services. Say it with me. With the town paying for the services. You're going to get charged for law enforcement. Guess what? You already get charged for law enforcement. The law enforcement's not going to change. The same 21 to 30 deputies that are patrolling your area right now are going to be the same 21 to 30 deputies doing the exact same job they do now. And they will not only get paid with your county property taxes that you're already paying, you will then get charged by your town for that same service under, remember those two words? Other revenue. Okay? Don't forget those. I can't read this with a straight face. The county will likely unload sewer and water on the town. Sewer. For the most part, the sewer system that is in place right now, if you look at the incorporated boundaries of what's being, or the boundary for the proposed incorporation, if you look at those boundaries, the businesses and the residences inside those boundaries take up almost all of this sewer system that's out there. There's very little of it that exists outside of that. Okay? It's at capacity. Yes, sir.
I'm still paying sewer tax on my car from way back in the early years.
Yeah.
Doesn't,
Should have been paid off 25 years ago.
taxes don't stop, do they?
No,
Yeah.
they get bigger.
They get, thank you, I'm done. Mic drop. So it's at capacity. They're gonna have to invest more money in it to make it grow outside of that. If we incorporate, where's the incentive to do that? Why would they not try to strike some deal with whoever the village council or town council is? Sorry, I can't keep it straight these days. Why wouldn't they try to make some deal to make that happen? You say, well, it's beside the budget, so they can't raise the taxes, so they would say no. Other revenue, okay? Not to mention the fact that all they gotta do, look, I don't know how to say this, but I'm gonna say it as straight face as I can. If people are willing to vote for an incorporation and have their taxes go up when you incorporate, why would they not to vote to have their taxes go up again later on? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a Pandora's box, folks. The county could reasonably be expected to offload that burden on the town. And they would do so through an interlocal agreement where the new town would acquire the sewer operations with borrowed money. Okay? The new town would then have to raise property taxes to cover the costs and would be able to do so because of a clause in the law. It's called debt service. We'll talk about it in just a second. So why would the county do those things? Two reasons. Fiduciary duty and lost revenue. The county commissioners have an obligation to all of the taxpayers of Lincoln County to save them money where they can. Okay? When the western part of the county starts complaining about something, or the eastern part of the county starts complaining about something, or the middle part of the county starts complaining about something, they have to listen to all of it. All right? The next thing here is that if incorporated, the new town will siphon off an estimated $4.5 million in sales tax revenue that the county currently enjoys. $4.5 million the county currently gets, we're going to keep inside the boundaries of the new incorporated town. That's a selling point for incorporation, by the way. So, okay, well, that sounds great. We're going to keep our money local. This is a perfect thing. This is what we've been wanting. Except that $4.5 million came from the county. And now they can charge us for law enforcement. It's probably a wash at best, if they don't come back and double up on some other things on this. They don't even have to have the incentive for the $4.5 million siphon on sales tax to come after us for something. They've already got the ability to charge us for law enforcement. Where else are they going to come back for this $4.5 million? Are they going to look at that water treatment plant that needs to be upgraded and say, nah, we were going to do that, but it's cost about $4.5 million. I would. But the taxes can't go up, right? They can't raise the taxes without a referendum and a special election. We can't raise taxes. That's the selling point. Except that, oops, sorry about that. I'm looking at the laser pointer here. Debt service. Each city may levy property taxes without restriction as to rate or amount for the following purposes. The very first one, debt service, to pay the principal of and interest on all general obligation bonds and notes of the city. If they borrow money, they can raise your taxes. And then there's what? Two words? Other revenue. Money for roads. The roads, but the roads. We got to do this because we need roads. This is the crescendo, folks. This is the best part coming, all right? This is actually the good news I'm about to tell you. So, according to the Pro Corporation Fund, the chief reason for incorporating is to gain priority in road improvement queue by throwing money, that's their quote, not mine, at NCDOT. The cost of improvement projects currently on the table range from $13 million to $72 million. Okay? That's a lot of money. The DOT process of ranking which roads get completed first must pass through, this is long, bear with me, Gaston, Cleveland, Lincoln Metropolitan Planning Organization. We're going to call it the MPO. And that process, based on percentages, allocates only a few points in ranking if local money is thrown at it. All right? 5% will get you 5 points. 10% will get you 10 points. 7% will get you 5 points. Okay? You don't get to break it out. Am I correct about that, Tom? You don't get to break that out. So a $72 million road project, which I'll show you what it is in a minute, will cost $7.2 million. The proposed budget is 10. The biggest project on the map is $72 million. We're going to throw money at it. Whose money? Other revenue. So this is my good news slide. I like to do this. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. So what you see on here, you don't get the color, unfortunately. We're not to try to guilt you guys into putting money in the basket, but if you want to, go ahead. The copies were donated. We got donated black and white. So you don't get the benefit of the color. But I can explain it to you. So if you look at, on the legend there, the first one is statewide funded. We don't have any of those right now in blue. But what we do have are the regional funded. And I'll save it for last. Let me go over here to the other. Let's talk about the committed highway projects. This right here, that is just right up the street here, that's Unity and 16. That is already committed. They're going to start, if they haven't already started, they're going to be breaking ground fairly soon on that, okay? Fairly soon for NCDOT. Look, I know what DMV is like, I know what DOT is like. I'm not ever going to tell you that those, they're saints, okay? But it's a big state, okay? There's a lot going on in it, all right? And there are people right now, I want you to remember this too, let's sidebar for just a quick second. We are all very, very blessed in this room because we do not have 300 roads underwater or need new construction on them right now because of a devastating hurricane. Okay? So whatever complaints we have here tonight about whatever happens, we don't have it nearly as bad as our friends down on the coast. And you know what? If they come first before Unity Church expansion, I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. I hope you don't either. I don't think the good people in this room will. I don't know that we're a real me-first crowd. It's not been my experience in Denver. But it's committed to, right? This project right here, you don't see how far it goes. If I'm not mistaken, this goes all the way back to Huntersville. That's a long project. That is 73 coming into 16. Okay? It'll help, right? But it's on the books. It's committed. I was under the impression that nothing was happening. Well, that's just simply not true. There's two committed right here. One of them, the biggest, one of the worst intersections we got. Look, I live in villages. Is everybody over here? I'm the neighborhood you guys cut through to get over the. Yeah. I'm the guy that yells at you if you drive on the backside of the neighborhood too fast. I would love nothing more for that intersection to get completed. Because when that happens, people will be able to actually turn off of that road and use the main roads to get back over to Optimus Club. Which, by the way, is the greatest news ever. This guy right here is #1 on the project list. You know what it is? Optimus Club at New 16. That's exactly right. You don't have to go north to go south anymore when this is finished. And I do that every day. I do that every day. Every day I go to work anyway. I have to punch it to get out. I got to jack slide through the turn, go back south again. If it's dark, like it is in the wintertime, I got to see the headlights coming up over the hill. It's terrible. Tom, thank you for trying to tell them not to do that. I know you did. We had that conversation before. Awful, awful, awful situation. They call it a super street. I call it super stupid, but that's just me. Maybe it's not just me. But that's good. That's #1. Can somebody tell me what comes before 1? 0. Right. So what are we going to throw money out on that project to get moved up into Kitty? 0. There's no reason to. So take that off the table for a reason for incorporation. Then you have, oops, sorry about that. Then you have down here, Ingleside to 73. That has been partially funded. It's in initial phases right now. You go up here, this is Webb's down to Fairfield Forest, partially funded, initial phases right now. And then you have this red right here and this red right here, which are basically, we're just going to, for lack of a better term, it's on the table. It's being studied. Nothing's been funded on it yet. But it's coming. It's not like nothing is happening. But here's the interesting part. Even if we incorporated today, it would take $7.2 million just to get 10 points, and maybe, with no guarantees, by the way, I didn't tell you that about the NPO before, with no guarantees that that $7.2 million would buy us anything in the queue. It would just give us 10 points. The decision to move us up in the queue is done somewhere else down the line. Okay? They just go to us and this is what we want done. So one of the biggest things that I hear from folks who want to incorporate is, if you stop this thing from doing, what are you going to do to fix it? Well, I'm going to trust the people who are already elected to do that, and this is how we do that. County commissioners acting through their representatives to the Gaston, Cleveland, Lincoln, MPO, I was going to say MPO, I should have done it, the MPO, and with the assistance of our legislative delegation, can work to get our share of local project needs included as division needs. So what does that mean? That means our county commissioners get with Jason Sane and Ted Alexander, who is, I'm sorry, I don't know the other gentleman's name running because it's not a bipartisan election. There's a joke in there somewhere. Somebody will find it for me. So those two gentlemen, if Ted gets elected, if the other guy gets elected, fine. We can use those folks to go to the NCDOT and say, this is what this community needs. And you say, well, we've had county representation. Why haven't they done this in the past? Well, some more good news. Now we have 3 people that are local to East Lincoln who are on the county commissioners. Bud Cecina, he's new. Milton Sigmund is new. And Richard Permenter has been seated, has been there for a while. He'll be up to run again in the future. These are the people you contact. These are the people you want to send a message to. These are the people who need to know what our priorities are. Okay? We don't need to incorporate a town for the simple aspect of collecting other revenue to throw at the state for something that, as we've already seen, is already on the table. We can't speed this up too much faster than it already is, especially when we're already number 1. We're already number 1 and this other one's committed. I mean, the center, the heart of this thing is being done. So I just recap this quick. There is no reason to believe East Lincoln or Denver would not end up just like the incorporated side of Lake Norman. All we got to do is look over there and see what's going on. We see where they are. I don't know how we can be any different. If there's anything that I've learned, it's you have to look at your history to know where you're going. Okay? Property tax will go up somewhere between 14 and 72%. You want to throw a dart at it?
Yeah.
The problem is the dart's got to hit between 14 and 72, so we're doomed either way. Businesses will see the same tax increase, and they're going to push that cost onto the consumers. We're going to pay twice for law enforcement. I don't care what anybody tells you, okay? Unknown water and sewer operational costs are likely to be forced on us if we incorporate it, and there's good reason for that. $4.5 million we're going to snatch from the county with sales tax. Road improvements are already in the queue. No incorporation is needed. If that's your reason, it doesn't exist. And there are other ways to get the NCDOT's attention, and we have to send a clear message to our legislators, the General Assembly, and DOT. Business 16 is our number 1 priority. That's what we need the most work on. Does anybody disagree with that? So what can you do? If you haven't signed the petition yet, I would encourage you to do so if we've convinced you tonight that incorporation is not in our best interest. If you have signed the petition to incorporate, and I've gotten through to you tonight, then sign this petition. If nothing else, you'll nullify the other signature at best. We want you to write your representatives. I would love to have, when you come up, if you have a question, or if you just want to come up afterwards and let us just get a quick statement from you, if all you do is say, my name is Troy Perry, I live in Denver, and I do not want incorporation. If that's all you say in our camera, that message will be loud and clear. If there's anything else you want to tell them, you're welcome to do so. This is your chance. Put a yard sign out. Educate your neighbors. You've got these take-homes with you. Take them home. Go to novillage.com. There's a ton more information there. By the way, that's my site. I created that, but it's not mine. I own it, but I didn't do it for me. I did it for my kids, and I did it for my community, because I believe that this is not the right thing to do. Take a moment after the presentation to send that quick video if you will. and reject higher taxes. Let's open the floor to questions. If we can get that petition started around, John, that'd be great. If you have a question, just come right up to the center microphone here. If you have a comment, you want to make a statement, whatever you'd like to do. Somebody break the ice.
My name is Chrissy Sherrill. My husband Rudy and I own a small farm on Burton Lane, about 40 acres. We've got 20 or 25 head of cattle and a donkey named Buddy. And we love the little farm. It's part of what was the family farm for many years, over 100 years. And that's all that's left of it. But we're concerned that if we are incorporated, what will happen to the farm? Buddy's very concerned, and he hauls for people every day, and they love him in Covington and across in Sellview. So Buddy says, please do not incorporate.
I think we found a new mascot. If you can get a picture of Buddy with the sign around his neck, I will put it on our website.
Is a lot of my friends are on a fixed income, and they cannot afford these taxes. I mean, they're just barely making it now. So many of them are having to sell their homes. Please, I'm appealing to our General Assembly, please stop this. Do not let Denver be incorporated. Thank you.
Thank you, Chrissy, I want to just touch on your first comment about what your concerns for the farm. And we've talked about this before. We've talked about your concerns for whether or not they're going to make some more town ordinances that would prevent you from earning certain livestock. A town can do anything they want. I think the link that I sent you before was to Davidson's town ordinances and what they don't allow in Davidson. That's just an example. Cornelius, Mint Hill, Charlotte, they've all got them. But in fact, when Charlotte grandfathered in any living animal that was there when the ordinance was passed. If you had a horse, that horse was grandfathered in. But when that horse died, you couldn't have another horse. So your property wasn't grandfathered in, your animal was. So you cannot, in certain cases, you can't replace that animal. There's nothing to say that the same thing wouldn't happen here. And the people that you may elect today may not be there tomorrow to protect you in that. Right now, the county doesn't care how many cattle you have to an extent, right?
I just have a question for the people that, the petitions that's going around. If somebody has signed it and they sign it again, could we get held on a technicality for that?
No, sir.
While you're contemplating as to whether or not you want to ask a question, I'm going to do something that's probably going to wind up getting me in a whole lot of trouble. But we talked about this petition, and we've had it different places, different people signing it. We've had some help, the likes of which I've never seen before. Sometimes people just deserve to be recognized. So Sam, would you stand up? This is Sam Whitfield. I didn't know Sam until about, I don't know, what, months ago? Folks, Sam got over 300 signatures thus far.
So whether you live inside that incorporated boundary or not, we didn't talk about this tonight. There's plenty of information on the website about it, but there is something called the extraterritorial jurisdiction, ETJ. That ETJ can go a minimum, already granted, 1 mile outside the boundary that's there, okay? It can go up to 3 miles if the county commissioners give permission for that. No reason to say they wouldn't, right? Maybe your current county commissioners would, but the ones in the future might. But at least 1 mile outside of that boundary, those folks will not have to pay taxes. They will not get a vote on who the town council is, but they will have to abide by the regulations of the town, whether they live in it or not, if you're up to 1 mile out, and possibly up to 3 in the future. That 3 miles is granted for 25,000 residents or more. We're at 22,000 now. It ain't gonna take long.
But they can annex you.
Well, there is the annex that could happen. And thank you for bringing that up, because what happens is they tell you, you don't have to pay the tax, but you gotta do what we say do. Oh, and you can't vote for the person that's gonna tell you what you wanna do, what we want you to do. So you might as well let us annex you so at least you can vote. You can have 2 out of the 3 things. That's the get you on the annexing.
And you stop and think about it, and you tell your neighbors who don't live in that incorporated area that they're talking about, you're still gonna pay because you shop at Walmart, you shop at the grocery store, you're gonna pay more taxes. So living outside, you just don't pay the property tax, you're gonna pay.
In addition to that, just because you live in Iron Station or, Iron Station, what's the other? Stanley, thank you.
Where's where we live?
Right. Stanley and Iron Station both have areas that are being incorporated, okay? Or that were proposed for incorporation. Don't think just because you got an Iron Station address or a Stanley address, this does not affect you. Very well may. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I want to dovetail off with this young lady from New Jersey. Please don't hold this against me, I'm from California.
The other side.
Born and raised, 66 years there, we just moved here 4 months ago. But we've owned a lot over here in Ashley Cove for the last 12 years. So we had planned our retirement. We knew where we were going to go because our daughter moved out here, and so we figured this would be a great place to move. Part of the attraction of Denver was not paying the taxes of everybody on the other side of the lake. I got to tell you, living and growing up in California, I think California invented taxes. I mean, cheap
And other revenue.
and other revenue. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how they were taxing the air I was breathing. I just couldn't figure out how they were doing it. But they would do it if they could. Literally would do it. And so I want to caution everybody in, you know, spread the word, because I know where this kind of stuff goes, and it spreads like a virus that you'll never kill. I mean, honestly, I mean, you live in California, a cheap 1,000 square foot condo there was $650,000. So, and then they tax that on top of that. I'm telling you how crazy it gets when things start getting carried away, so spread the word. I sure as heck didn't want to move from one tax burden into another tax burden when we came here to retire. That's what we did. So the business came here, building a house over here in Ashley Cove now. So spread the word.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's good to see the resistance is alive and well. I'd like to say a few words about taxes and development. Development's a profanity in Denver. But the tax situation is, if you look at the lake, there's about 1,700 individual pieces of property on the lake. So if there's 4 people there, that's 7,500 people. So that's 7% of the population, and you are paying 24% of the taxes. Are you getting 24% of the services from the county? I don't think so. And if you're on the lake and you look out your window onto that water, it's costing you $30 to $200 a day to do that. Stop and think about it. You pay extra taxes in the value of the property versus the guy across the street. So there's...
Move across the street.
Move across the street.
Move off the lake.
Then move off the lake, right. And, well, the thing was, all these goddamn Yankees coming down here, paying $12,000 in taxes out there, and they want $12,000 worth of services down here.
Well, that day you earned it.
Not all of them.
Well, I brought this up with one of the commissioners, Carol mentioned, and he said, "Tough, you know what? You pay, you pay." Okay, the other thing is the development. I don't know how many meetings we've all been to over in Lincoln to stop the development. Covington has dumped a baseball field cube of red clay into the lake, and they've been able to do nothing about that. I don't call it development, I call it the rape of East Lincoln. Stop and think about what this place looked like 15 years ago, and what's happened in the 15 years. And they've known, the commissioners, whoever they may be, they've known, they've heard the resistance, they've done nothing. Nothing. I predict that the last tree in East Lincoln will be cut down, you might want to write this down. I think it's going to be in March 23rd of 2025, and they'll just pave it over. And we'll just, hopefully. But the two, in review, the two things, government has to have taxes. They have to have the resources to pay the services that we want. I don't know how you solve that problem. We elect people to solve that. Right. And the fact that the other thing is the development. I don't know how we stop the development. We've gone to the meetings, we've talked to our commissioners, and we don't get any response. So I don't know. Martin Oak says his hands are tied. So if somebody has a pair of scissors, the next time you see Martin, cut the rope on his hand.
He mentioned what the place was like 15 years ago. Can you imagine what it was like 52 years ago when I moved here? And when this young man moved here 70 years ago. When I moved here 50 years ago, I lived on a dirt road. I had no garbage. We burned garbage in a barrel in the backyard, hauled the cans and the balls and put them in a gully to help control erosion. We were fortunate. We had indoor plumbing. A lot of people, young men over here, how long was it before you got indoor plumbing? Okay, now we got indoor plumbing. We got our fire department. The department was a block building, 2-bay. It was built by the citizens with the material that they bought themselves and laid the block, done the wiring, and raised money in the community to have fire trucks. That was our fire service. We had no ambulance service. The fire department bought a 56 model Pontiac ambulance, and the fire chief with no prior first aid training, if you had a heart attack or if you had a wreck on 16, which was the only road paved that you could have an accident on almost, he went out with that ambulance and picked you up and took you to Lincoln, because if you waited on one to come out of Lincoln, it was 30 minutes before they could get here. Right, Bob? Right? So now we've got ambulance service, we got fire department, we got all these services, and a whole lot of it has come long before 15 years. You had all that services when you moved here, which might have been 15 years ago. But I'm tickled with what the county has given me. So you can talk about what goes on or not, but I think when this was an absolute. I remember when Haters Ferry, Pilot Knob, St. James, Little Egypt, all that was dirt roads. There was very few paved roads in the county. The county's done a good job for me. Thank you.
I just came back from the county commission meeting, and y'all expect me to talk about something. I can talk about this because I'm really passionate about it. Folks that you've seen here this evening have been incredible. The work that's gone into this, it's taken some folks on the pro side 2.5 years to come up with fictitious numbers. It took these guys 2 weeks, we've been doing this about 2 weeks now, to come up with a better plan, I think. I don't believe in bigger government. I live over in Westport. Let me just say this is not Westport against the rest of the world. Most of my neighbors have asked me for signs. So this is about not spending any more of your money than we have to spend. Milton and I are starting the commission on December the 3rd, I understand, and we are both in the same mindset that Highway 16 is the priority. I'm sorry, I've been at the county commission, so I don't know what's been said earlier this evening, but I can tell you that our priority is Highway 16 and trying to get things done for Highway 16 so it's not quite as big a mess as it is today. That's also Rich Parmenter's goal as well. And so I can't talk about the rest of them, but I just left the two of them, so I know what they're thinking right this very second. I don't believe in big government. I never have. I was a police officer in Charlotte for 30 years, and then chief of police for the school system for 8 years after that. Believe it, I tell you, I understand what big government is. And I don't want to go back there again. I moved here from Huntersville because I didn't want to be incorporated. I like my little home on the 18th fairway there in Westport. I don't want to be incorporated with anybody. And so I'm hoping that all my like-minded friends in this room are going to sign that petition and stay in that same vein. If I felt like everybody in the county wanted it, or all my neighbors wanted it, I would be forced to vote for it. But I don't see the fact that I'm looking at 80% against and 20% for, so that's kind of where I'm leaning. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, why don't you tell the people when you lived in Huntersville, you also paid McMurphy County taxes also?
We paid Huntersville taxes, we paid Mecklenburg County taxes, and there were special assessments from time to time. Public leaders like to do special assessments from time to time. When they can't go through normal taxing procedures, you'll get all kinds of, y'all that have been here for a while remember the special assessment we had for sewers and water? Yeah, remember that? Like it can't happen again? Yeah, back some years ago, there was a special assessment in this area for sewer and water. So anyway, thank you for coming out this evening. I greatly appreciate it. I apologize for not being here soon, but I went to the county commission meeting this evening to learn a little bit more and to talk about some of the planned developments that they want to undo with the UDO. And so I can assure you that I'm not going to vote for any extensions of the UDO, and I firmly believe that we ought to curb some developments. That's about all I can tell you.
I've been around a long time, born in Catawba County, Newton. I traveled 16 years ago. I've been here over 40 years. Nothing on 73 was here but woods. The thing that the county commissioners need to do is change the restrictions on the subdivisions when they not be coming in like they are. There should be better restrictions to cut them back and make every subdivision pay for right and left turns into those subdivisions. Thank you.
Thank you everybody for coming out tonight. There's a couple little pointers that he had stated. There was a lot of information that's not being put out, and we don't have enough time tonight to get everything. I think the biggest takeaway from tonight that Troy has pointed at, there is no service that a corporation is going to give us that we don't already have and we can't utilize with the right people on our side. We have newly elected officials that are prepared. If you are not prepared when you go and ask for money or to do things and propose things, you are going to get turned down. So let's utilize, the people we've elected do their job and move forward without having to put the burden on the people that live in the community. There are ways to do it. We can do it. They are not giving us anything we don't already have. That's it.
Terry Brotherton.
The possibility of Lincoln County, and I'll use the term dumping the sewer on this town, are real. I had a conversation about 2 or 3 weeks ago with one of the current board members, and we discussed this, and believe me, and Tom and I have talked about it, the county is already, some of the elected officials, looking into that. So that one item alone would bankrupt this town from the beginning, basically. And then there are other services, solid waste. The city of Lincoln has a sanitation department. Why should Lincoln County citizens continue to fund citizens from other part of the county, the convenience sites? There's so many agencies in Lincoln County that can be dumped on this proposed town. And I think Tom and I both know when you're on the Board of Commissioners, you only have to learn to count to 3, don't you? And that's That's it. Okay, thank you. Appreciate each and every one of you coming out tonight.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, to show you, I'm not gonna give a name, but there's somebody that's currently commissioner that is on this new self-appointed board. I didn't say it. At a county commissioners meeting, well, before the meeting, he called Rich Permetta and Bill Dean to try to get them to go along with the vote before they had the meeting, which is really a no-no, but apartments that are going in over at Pilot Knob, part of the public thing, and then the ones going up on the Bowmore property on 16, because they were running out of water, and the way the county runs, now, Tom, you don't have to help me, 80% capacity, they can't do anymore, right? They have to save 20% for industry or business. So, trying to get the Board of Commissioners to rezone apartments as non-residential. You can go and look back in the Commissioners meeting minutes and you'll see. He wanted to rezone these two huge apartment complexes to non-residential. Well, I don't know where he comes from, but apartments are multi-resident where I come from. So that's who you're working with. That's the kind of people.
I want to be sure you understand something. We're not locked in mortal combat with the folks at Morton Corporation. I did this 18 years ago, and I thought, surely to goodness, I won't have to do this again. Well, so much for my prediction capabilities. But folks that are pro-incorporation, whether you agree with them or you don't agree with them, as I don't, give them credit. And for goodness sakes, don't underestimate them. They are dedicated. They intend to see this done. They've been working on this for 2 years. If you do not agree with what they propose, I appreciate you being here, but what will be even of greater importance is that you convey to your neighbors and to your friends and to your family who could not be here tonight, and that do one very simple thing. You have these little cards. Send an email to Jason Sutton. He reacts to emails, and the more he has, if he understands that there is valid opposition, the better off we're going to be. That's what we're doing these petitions for. But don't underestimate the pro-incorporation folks. You don't need to get mad at them. They're doing what they think is right. It's just don't underestimate them. Thank you for being here.
My name is Bill Davison. I live in Catawba Springs subdivision. I'm adamantly opposed to the incorporation of East Lincoln County. That's going to be known as the Village of Denver or Town of Denver, because the services provided by the County of Lincoln is already adequately servicing the county in this area. We do not need additional taxes, additional layer of government, and excessive taxation that would come down the road from incorporation. Thank you.
And my name's Tony Smith. We retired to Denver from Charlotte primarily to escape the bureaucracy and the excess taxes, so we're definitely against incorporation of Denver. Thank you.
That's good right there.
Hi, I'm Gail Smith. I live off the Unity Church Road, and I'm very much against incorporation. Thank you.
My name is Robert Hoban. I moved here in 2001. When we moved here, we specifically knew we were not going to live in Mecklenburg County because of the high taxes. We moved to Denver for that very purpose. This is a bad idea and should never see the light of day. And I encourage our legislators, if they want to keep their job, do not let this pass. Thank you. Good enough?
I'm Wayne Tucker, and I came down to Denver. I've been down in Denver since 1978, and I've run into some of the neighbors here, the old folks, and the gentleman told me that they'd been trying to get Highway 16 worked on since 1941, and that's the old highway. Of course, we got the bypass now and we're getting better on it. And I want to give thanks for what's being done to this point with the work roads here in the Denver area. But I've seen this area grow from just a one-horse town to a lot of people here. So the people here have been great to me. I traveled Highway 16 and the airport for about 15 years, so I know what traffic was like then. And it feels so good to see that we have good highways now, and things are improving all the time. And I think we've been blessed without changing what we're having right now. So I'm satisfied with the conditions of Denver right now. Thanks to all.
Thank you.
My name's Rebecca Walters,
My name is Terry Winker.
and we oppose incorporation. Thank